Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So tonight I'm working on putting in the quarter glass and the door glass in the 67 Chevelle. So I thought it might be a good opportunity here to put together a couple of videos just kind of talking about the removal and the installation of the side glass. Again, 67 Chevelle, but it should be the same for all 66 to 67 GMA bodies. So a couple of things. I'm just using my original glass. I'm going to eventually replace this glass with new stuff once the car is all finished out. But since I've got the original glass laying around and the new glass, I haven't even ordered it yet, I thought I'd go ahead and slap it in just to make sure everything fits the way that it should. I've done a lot of metal work and panel replacement on this car. So I'm just making sure that there aren't any surprises once I finally get to that final glass install. Check out some of the other videos. I'm kind of breaking them up into removal steps for the door glass and the quarter. So anyway, check those out. Hopefully they'll be helpful. So tonight, again, I'm just gonna be working on the door glass and the wing window. Just need some simple tools, 7/16 socket, Phillips screwdriver, maybe a flathead screwdriver if you're going to do any types of adjustment. And then also make sure that you've got all of your hardware laying around and you're ready to go with all your bits and pieces. So if I get this turned around here, you can see I've just got the wing window here, or the vent window. Some people call it a vent window. But I've got that ready to go. I've got the guides. This is actually just the rear guide for the back of the glass. The guide here, this has the felt in it. And that will get restored and replaced by the time that it's all said and done. But for just this test fit, I'm not going to worry about it. And then one of the tracks, I'll show you where that sits and where it bolts to the door shell here in just a second. Window crank, if you've got a window crank laying around, that'll be super helpful. Otherwise, you can use channel locks or a pair of vice grips. And then I've got my door regulator ready to go, and the door glass here. So one of the first things that you're going to want to do if it's still installed, it just kind of depends on how the glass was taken out and who did it, is you're going to want to remove three key things or three pieces off of this this door glass. I don't have the stop on this side, but there's going to be should be a stop on this side of the glass. Make sure that you remove that and get it out of your way. And then over on this side, another stop. You can just remove this bolt and take that stop off. And then the other thing that you want to do, or you're going to be fighting this forever, is you want to take this guide out of here. This little, it's not really a roller, but it's just more of a guide. Then there's these two bolts here. So just remove that and pull it out and get it out of the way. And then that glass should slide down in the hole perfectly fine. The other thing is, if you're doing a final install, make sure that you're getting everything lubed up real well. Make sure that all of this is lubed up. Make sure that your track on your window is lubed up. Make sure that your rollers are lubed and in good shape. If not, you may have to replace them, and then you'll be ready to go. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on getting this vent window installed. It should go pretty quickly. It's, like I said, it's a pretty painless process if you just kind of take some of the initial steps to get everything prepped and ready to go. So we're just going to set it right down in this channel here, and it's going to really depend. I put new skins on this door, so I'm a little tighter than I probably need to be or should be up in this area. And so one of the things that you may have to do is just kind of find the right spot to get the wing window in, and then you can slide it across and get it into place. So I'll cover that here in the next step. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to put the wing window in, and hopefully I've got the camera positioned where it's easy to see. So one of the things that you might have to do, just kind of depending on how much clearance you have, is you can actually take this adjustment bolt or stud out of the wing window channel here if you want it, just to get it out of your way. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in place just because I can squeeze it in there. So all I'm going to do here really is find a good spot here to get this in. And what I found for me, at least on this door, is that it's a lot easier if I just start here at the back. It just seems to be a little bit more room at the back. So I'm just going to rock it and slide it right down in there. And then what you can do once you've got it down inside of there is now you can just pivot it around. So now you're just going to have to walk it down to the other end, and it's going to slide right in. It's pretty self-explanatory on how it goes. And you just kind of push it in place there. Okay, so I've got the wing window slid down to the front of the car now, since I put the tracks down inside of there, and I just basically slid the wing window all the way to the front. And then what you just have to do is you just have to, once you get down there, you just feed it in there, and now you just push it forward and it's going to go right into place. Again, pretty self-explanatory. And then you can bring this other end down here, just like so. So what's going to happen now is you're going to have a couple of screws and bolts and nuts that you're going to use. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to check to make sure that your adjustment stud is protruding through the hole down here. This is a slot. So there's a slot right here that you want to make sure that that adjustment stud is protruding through. So if I just kind of wiggle it down, there it comes. So now that's right in place, and we can just put a nut on there, just kind of put it in there loosely. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is that there's going to be a adjustment stud on the front in the door jamb here. So right up in the front where the door jamb is, there'll be an adjustment stud. You can see that right here. It's just right there, just a little adjustment. You can go ahead and put a nut on there and just kind of keep that nut loose in that spot. And so then you have those two in. Now there's going to be there should be a chrome or a stainless screw. There should be two of them. There should be a shorter one and a longer one. The shorter one is going to go right up in this section here, right here in this hole. That's where this one's going to go, right here. Once you get it in there and get it wiggled in and get it put into place there. And then there will be another interior screw. This is going to be a longer one, and it's going to go right through here and screw into the wing window frame itself. So once you have all of those pieces in place, you basically have the wing window pretty much installed. Now that's all that's left to do is get your glass in, the door glass in next, and then you can start working on your adjustments. So before I actually start putting the glass in, the side glass in, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got this adjustment here on the wing window pretty good. So this is really the area that you're going to adjust. So what you can essentially do is you're going to pivot the wing window, and once you get the alignment and adjustment that you're happy with, you can just tighten down this nut here to hold it in place, and then you can finish up with some other adjustments and tightening as you get to where you need to be. So if you take a look at this wing window here, I can pivot it a number of different ways. I can get a little bit of movement in it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find that right adjustment and pivot that just correctly so that I have a similar angle as the A-pillar here. And so again, I'm just going to make sure that the gap is uniform and parallel from the top to the bottom. Once I have that, I'm going to then tighten that stud on the adjustment, and we should be pretty close. We'll always go back and make a final adjustment after we get all of the glass in it, and there'll probably be fine-tuning adjustments once all of the weather strip is back in the car. All right, so now that we have the wing window in place here, we can go ahead and start installing some of the innards here for the door glass. So a couple of things is that you don't necessarily have to take the regulator out. If you wanted to just take the glass out and the wing window out, you can do that. You can leave the regulator in. But if you're wanting to do any type of maintenance, greasing, replacing rollers, in my case I was putting door skins on, and so I took everything out of the car. But you can leave the regulator in if you want to. It just kind of really depends on what you want to do. One of the things that will help, we talked about the adjustment here with the wing window and this nut down here. is you can actually take this nut out. You can actually take the nut off, and what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to move this back and forth just a little bit, because you may need a little bit of clearance to get the stem from the window crank, through a little bit of a tight section here. So if it's too tight, just loosen this nut down here, and then you can have some flexibility to move that track in and out, and that should help. So we're just going to come in here like this. I always go through the back section here of the door for my regulator, and I just come right in like this. Just kind of work it in, and now we're all the way over here, and now I'm just going to work on getting this regulator passed. There we go. So now I've got the regulator in place, and the next thing that we'll do is we'll just put those four bolts in here. Okay, so we've got all of those in and ready to go. The next thing that we'll do is we'll go ahead and put the rear guide into the back of the door here. And again, that's a pretty straightforward job. You're just going to kind of come in here like this. You can bring that adjustment stud through here, then go ahead and put a nut on there just to kind of hold it in place for now, and just keep it loose because there'll be some additional adjustment later that we'll have to do. But so there's that one, and then there should be a bolt with a plastic washer on it, and that is going to go right through the back side here in the door jamb area. So there's going to be a spot right here, and that just goes in there just like this. That plastic washer is just there to protect your paint job once you get it painted and you get that bolt installed there. So there's the back guide there. So that is all that you have to worry about there, and then we'll be ready to put the glass in it in just a second. So I'm going to grab the glass. Once you have the regulator in and you have the back guide in place, the only two pieces really left to put in are going to be this little stabilizer track here. It actually will fit right here on the other side here, of course, but it will fit here. There is a roller that goes into this track here, so it will sit here and it'll be bolted from this side here, and then the door glass itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually put the door glass in first, and then the very last thing that we'll put in is that little stabilizer track. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to roll the window up about as high as it will go, and those rollers should start sticking through the window, or through the door. So now you can see that I've got both of those sticking out, and now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come in here and try to slide that glass and catch both of these rollers. It may be a little tricky, it may be super easy to do, but this is the reason why you want to take that little back guide off of the glass before you go and try to install it, because that back slider guide there will actually be in the way and it won't give you enough room to operate. So we're going to take that off here real quick, and then we're going to come right back over with the glass. All right, so like I said, we're just going to try to catch these rollers as we put the glass down inside. So caught the first one here, and now the second one should be a little bit easier to catch because we've got a little bit of adjustment. So we're just going to keep rolling here. Now you can see that I've caught both rollers in the track. The other thing that I want to do now is just kind of guide it as far forward as it will go. And now we're in good shape. We've got it exactly where we need it. We can just start rolling the window down now. As it rolls down, it's going to want to move to the back, and you just slide it forward. And then again. Now the other thing that you want to do is while you're bringing this down is try to catch that other guide in there. And all I'm going to do is bring it down gradually until it catches. And then I'll be able to put the the guide back on the back part of the glass. So slowly but surely. So now what we should be able to do is a couple of things. We should be able to put the guide back on here, and we should be able to put our stabilizer track in place on the back side of this as well. So what I typically do is I just come in and I'll go ahead and put this piece back in, and I'll just work on catching the door roller. Now I've cut the roller, I can push it on. I'm going to push it up here out of the way, and now what I'll be able to do is put the 2 bolts in. I can put a bolt in here, get that out of the way here, good. And now I'm just going to put this bolt in. This one has no adjustment on this side, so we'll just get it twisted in. And the one on the back does have some adjustment, and we're just going to leave it here. You may have witness marks from where your glass was set up previously, and sometimes they're close, sometimes they aren't. I've got a witness mark there, so probably right in there is what makes sense there. So now I've got that stabilizer track in place. The next thing that we can do is we can put this guide back in place. It's this little slider here that goes on the glass. So what I'll do here is I'll just come in here, I'll get it inside. I'll get it inside here into the guide or in the track, and then I'll just bring it up, slide it up into position. And then I'm just gonna, like I've done all these other ones, I'm just gonna get those finger tight right now, because you do have some, I guess, front to back adjustment with this guide depending on how easy the window rolls down. So if it's too tight, you can move it forward. If it's a little bit too sloppy, you can move it back. So there we go with the finger tight on both. Everything's finger tight. Now I'm just gonna kind of check it, see how it's moving initially. So looks like it's going pretty good. You can see well, you may not be able to see, but it looks like I'm a little sloppy up here towards the front. I'm a little sloppy, I'm not in the track. So that means I'm gonna have to move that glass forward, move the glass forward. So I'm gonna actually have to loosen these 2 bolts. Just gonna loosen them up a little bit, and then I'm gonna slide the glass forward just a hair and move the track back and see how that works in terms of getting that adjusted. And whoops, wrong way. Get that adjusted there, here, and there. So now I'm not as sloppy. Still need a little bit of adjustment there, but it's pretty close right now. And we'll have to do a little adjustment now. So now that everything's in place, we can come back in and we can work on all of our adjustments in terms of the positioning of the glass. We can get the wing window positioned correctly, and now we can get the glass positioned correctly, whether it's in or out. We can also adjust this guide here. This guide is still loose. So anyway, hopefully that video was helpful in terms of getting the glass installed. Check out some of the other videos. I'm going to also be putting together a video on removing the glass as well.